People have been calling out Dawg Entertainment for years, and now that Kendrick Lamar has left the label to start his own, along with TDE's co-president, fans have been getting suspicious. Could this have to do with the many times SZA tweeted about her frustration with the label executives? Why Ab-Soul and Isaiah Rashad took 5 years to drop a single? What the hell happened to Schoolboy Q? But the most important question of all, why is Kendrick Lamar being out-rapped on his own songs by rappers like KODAK BLACK? Alright, I'm just kidding, but we gotta admit, this isn't typical behavior for a man like Kendrick Lamar. Without this guy, it's debatable that many of the artists on TDE would not be as popular as they are today. In some way, shape, or form, Kendrick Lamar has played a part in nearly everyone's success on the label, simply because he's the most famous one on the roster, doing features and going on tour with them. And no big moneymaker like this just opts out of a label out of complete nowhere. So what happened? It's difficult to piece together whether or not the label is seemingly falling apart. However, Kendrick Lamar, SZA, and Isaiah Rashad have all spoken out about their thoughts on the label falling off, and their answers will help decode whether or not their label execs are the problem, or if it's just the artists themselves. Let's start with the most mysterious piece on TDE's roster, SZA. She is signed to both TDE and RCA, so while she is making more money, she has doubled the industry politics. And it's a gift and a curse having her manager be the president of TDE, Punch. Through him, she got signed in 2013, and shortly after, she was able to release her first EP, Z. However, she's complained so many times about Punch on Twitter, and has left fans curious about what is really going on behind the scenes. Now, I know everyone loves to talk about the whole quality over quantity aspect that TDE holds standard for all of their artists, and while it is true, I just feel like you're taking it way too seriously when you drop a debut album 4 years after you've given the first EP to us. But TDE may have proved me wrong, because this is how we were eventually given the masterpiece called Control in 2017. They knocked it out the park with this one. The album had multiple hit songs, she became a Grammy-winning artist, selling out and headlining tours. But while this was really SZA's whole claim to fame, she didn't ride the momentum of her fans wanting music from her long enough. Like many of the artists on TDE, she just went silent after this. According to an interview she did with The Guardian in 2017, SZA claimed that she was the reason her album Control was delayed for so long due to her obsession with making a perfect project. She was later forced to drop the album despite its flaws, and it just ended up doing really well. Circle back 3 years later, and the same problem continues. SZA has reported multiple times on social media that she hates her label, claiming that she's in a hostile environment and that they simply won't let her drop any music. But it's really hard to believe what's right or wrong in this situation. She seems to be a bit too all over the place, as she eventually blames herself and claims that these are just emotional tantrums she tends to throw. She always resorts back to saying that she does trust her label and she does like her manager Punch, and that nothing is really going on behind the scenes. Today, she still hasn't dropped another album after Control, but she did drop a deluxe version to it, if that helps. Next up, we got Isaiah Rashad, and make sure you guys stick to the end of the video because we're going to be talking about what Kendrick Lamar, Kung Fu Kenny, thinks about the situation. Isaiah Rashad's experience with the label is probably the most interesting. Coming from absolute nowhere, out of the trenches of Chattanooga, Tennessee, Isaiah Rashad was an artist no one ever knew they wanted until he was brought into the spotlight by TDE. Only 2 albums in, and Rashad was an international success, making millions of dollars, getting co-signed by popular celebrities, and his future overall was looking very bright and promising. But these are all the reasons Rashad said he experienced the quickest fall from grace he could ever imagine. According to an interview with The Fader in 2016, Isaiah Rashad claimed that the things in his life became worse after joining TDE, but it had nothing to do with the label. While he was more admired, famous, and richer than he's ever been, his new luxurious lifestyle allowed him to indulge more into his drug habits. He was getting zooted every day, and this led him to having a very poor work ethic, to the point where he almost got fired from TDE. This, along with a stressful breakup between him and his baby moms, was all part of the reason why Isaiah Rashad has only produced 3 albums since he was signed in 2013. Damn near a whole decade. Rashad has always reconfirmed many times that the label doesn't have to do with any part of the small, momentary downfall, saying that they are just management and mentors. They gotta wait on the artist, and in fact, they're pretty damn patient. Stay hydrated. But what about Kendrick Lamar? What did the GOAT have to say about all the drama going on? These days, this is what it looks like when you try to get a response from Kendrick. But he did say something in the midst of fans flooding Twitter threads and Reddit forums about their frustration with the label and the lack of output over the past 5-6 years. In October of 2020, there was tons of rumors floating around the internet that Kendrick Lamar had left Dawg Entertainment to launch his mysterious company PG Lang. Mind you, no one really knew anything about PG Lang at the time, nor had anyone at TDE provided a definitive answer. So the internet just went along with the rumors, but eventually Kendrick Lamar had to dispel some of these rumors, and in a video shared to Dawg's Instagram page titled "A PSA from Kendrick Lamar," he made it clear that he was still part of the TDE roster, and that Dawg, aka Anthony Tiffith, the founder of the label, should have informed the world about the pickle juice and the sweat under his hat.
Top, you gotta stop them from smutting my name, man. They've been smutting my name all year, man. You ain't said nothing, man. Enough is enough, man. Got them saying I done shook the label and all that, man. They must don't know about that pickle juice that's under your red cap, man. About that sweat. The sweat that's holding that red cap together. Reason why it don't fall off your head, man.
Yeah, KODAK really didn't necessarily explain what this was, but the way that I interpreted it as was Kendrick saying that Top Dawg had an insane ability to recruit talent, and he's gonna keep the label running for as long as possible. At the time, Kendrick Lamar was still on TDE, but had yet to announce that his last album on the label would be dropping in the next 12 to 14 months.
So that was a fucking lie.
People were beginning to hint at TDE possibly being mad at Kendrick Lamar's departure. It was strange that he left the label he was working with since the start of his career, along with TDE's co-president, Dave Free, who he tends to mention in a lot of his songs. He's also the one who discovered Kendrick Lamar at Centennial High School and showed him to Top Dawg, but do what you want with that information. But this is when things began to really get weird. Weeks before Kendrick's last album on the label dropped, leaks began surfacing the internet out of nowhere, showcasing Kendrick Lamar ghostwriting for his cousin and label mate Baby Keem. Mind you, that Kendrick Lamar is not like Playboi Carti or like Lil Uzi, who has leaks just float up on the internet every week or two. Like Kendrick Lamar's camp, they never have anything leaked. So it seems like the insiders were really trying to expose Kendrick for being a ghostwriter, despite the many times that the duo both advised against it. The good news is, no one really cared, but it was a bit strange. Last thing I want to mention are these tweets from @OnThinIce on Twitter, where he claimed that someone from TDE's camp reported that no one on TDE knew Kendrick was planning to leave and start PG Lang, which increased more suspiciousness from the label. As you guys might know, TDE used to be an incredibly great label, and not saying that it isn't anymore, but the guys that made the label what it is are slowly fading away. The thing that makes it so suspicious is that they were actually dropping so many albums in the past. They were also recruiting artists like crazy, and all of them had massive potential to be at the top of the tier list, and of course, dropping absolute classics that we will never forget. Over the past couple of years, things have taken a turn for the worse. The output from the label is ridiculously slow, there's rumors of poor management at the label, and fans have been asking questions that remain unanswered. However, one thing we can learn from artists like Isaiah Rashad is that it's not always the artist's fault. At the end of the day, the lack of output can simply mean the artists themselves are simply demotivated to make music, and people may just want to leave the label to move on to bigger and better things. If you guys need a canvas like the one on the screen, please DM me on Instagram @Louaista. I can do any picture or any album you'd like, and I got hundreds of reviews and samples of my work via my highlights. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.